than perfection. What matters is quality, beauty, and value. After all these decades, your engagement ring is still our greatest pride. Marguerite's exquisite jewelry.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Know-how, Napa Know-How. Big discounts, big selection, and really big deals. It's the big pre-owned sale. Only at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Pre-owned vehicles start at $29.95. Over 50 vehicles under $15,000. $29 down. And you can drive today or take advantage of payments starting at $99 a month. That's $29 down. And payments starting as low as $99. From Montgomery to Dothan, the best pre-owned deal are at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or online at PremierChrysler.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Did you call them?
Yeah, they had the canteens. They also had old cigarettes in them.
Yeah. Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. I'm Mike Amos, and with us this morning, one of my all-time favorite people, Robert K.T. Cole the third. Is it the third or the fourth?
Junior.
Is junior?
I'm the junior, yeah.
Okay, I thought your granddaddy was number one down in Ozark.
No, he was Bernie Lester.
Yeah, and with us this morning, Major General Jerry D. Humble, and it's great to have you, my friend.
Good to meet you, Mike.
It's a longtime friend of KT. Of course, we're all except for me. We're looking at two Marines this morning, and that are longtime good friends. KT, tell us about Jerry D. Humble. Is he a humble individual?
No, he's not. He is definitely not humble. He is very self-confident.
And my wife says that too.
Yeah.
And his wife.
And by the way, Margaret, good morning to you. I hope you're having a good, nice cup of coffee over at KT's house, and you're watching the deer eat all that corn he's thrown out every morning.
And Margaret has not aged a year since the last time I saw her. I mean, she is still just as beautiful as she was back then. She was always She's the only person that could handle this rascal, right? When Margaret said come, the general would come running.
Yeah. Well, first of all, KT, tell us a little about him, and then Jerry, Major General Jerry D. Humble, tell us a little bit about KT Cole and how y'all got to be friends.
But JD, I was back from Vietnam when JD was at Camp Lejeune, and he was preparing to go to Vietnam, and he walked in, and normally a second lieutenant's a little bit intimidated by the senior guys, stuff like that. Not him. He walked right in the middle of us and said, "What's up, guys?" I mean, it was just, he was comfortable in his skin. You could tell that.
Now, you went to Western Kentucky. Did you go through the ROTC program, or were you a first lieutenant or what?
No. Of course, I was a Marine, but my wife was in the women part of the ROTC, the Rebelettes.
Wait a minute, at Western, yeah. Okay.
So I was in there for 1 year, and I played football, but and I was a pretty roundhouse guy, and they would tell Margaret to tell me to get a haircut.
Yeah.
But she was on a national championship drill team, and over my career, I've sometimes said, if you Marines better march better than my wife.
But now, this is your life. We got your first grade teacher. We got your junior high football coach.
They wouldn't come on here.
You know how that show goes. This is your life. Jerry D. Humble and his wife Margaret is coming in here with your great grandson. And
well, I'll tell you, I joined the Marine Corps. This is what I used to give some speeches. I joined the Marine Corps to dodge the draft.
I did too.
And
but you know what? I was going to try to dodge the draft, and then I went and got a physical, and those old football injuries started coming out at me.
Yeah.
I said, please, you gonna send me to H&R Point? I'm gonna have to go join my buddy KT in Vietnam. Hey, I was 26 on the lottery.
Well,
I had one foot on a banana peel, and the other foot was in Vietnam.
well, you're now the same age, and I was already a head football coach at a prominent high school there, and I was there for 2 weeks, and my wife called me and said, "You got a letter in the mailbox."
Oh man!
I was a pre-law student, but so I said, "Don't touch it," you know, and it was a draft. So I, instead of going to the draft, and my lottery number had come up.
Sure.
So I went down and joined the Marines, and that's how I got in the Marine Corps. And I was going to stay for 4 years, typical, but I wound up staying 34 years.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
That's amazing. Of course, your first place, and hear this, Marines from all over. And of course, I was not a Marine, but I know where Parris Island is, and I know where Camp Lejeune is. So you got your start at Parris Island?
No, sir. I went through the Officers Candidate Program at Quantico, Virginia.
All right, so you graduated from college. Had you already graduated?
Yes.
So, and then you went into officers training. Is that right?
Right. When I signed up to be an officer, and went to Quantico, went through that training, and my first assignment was at Camp Lejeune. Yeah. Although I volunteered to go to Vietnam.
Man, you're a gun hoe.
Yeah, he's a Marine.
But I signed up, and we didn't go to. I didn't go to Vietnam. I went to Camp Lejeune, to 1st Battalion, 6th Marines, and that's how KT and I got to know each other. And KT is not a bashful, backward. He's outgoing out, and he was such a back from Vietnam, and the Marines loved him, and I thought I can learn something from this guy. So we became friends, and our kids and wives would go down to the beach together at Jacksonville.
Yeah. Stretch and Scott.
Yeah.
Well, if I would identify KT Cole, there's no question about how successful he's been in business, and of course he's a stockbroker for many years. But you know what? He never stopped being a Marine. I mean, he's a Marine now as much as he ever was. And people say, "Well, what kind of parking place is this?" And that parking place happens to be for people that were wounded. The Purple Heart. He had done more with that program than, I don't know, maybe anybody in the country.
He's a good man, and we've stayed in contact periodically, and I have a little place down in Okeechobee, Florida. I like to fish, we come through this way, and I've stayed in Troy, 5 or 6 times at a hotel. But this time I decided we got time. We're taking it slowly, going down there, and I called KT, and so we wound up seeing each other.
He didn't have any room in his house.
Well,
I mean, I can't believe you barged in on him. But
I actually got lost in there last night.
That's what I'm saying. His rooms in his house he's never been in.
Well, it's for sale, that's for sure.
But what I'm saying, bless his heart. I know it made you feel bad that he'd done so terrible, he lives in a little shack on Crow Hill.
They can call Carol Amos or Jacqueline Brantley Floyd if somebody wants to buy it. It's for sale.
Exactly. Well, isn't it great, though, that Marines have such a bond? Navy people don't have a bond. The Army doesn't have a bond. The Air Force don't have a bond. But once you're a Marine, you got a bond with you and you.
Yep.
Well,
you got it forever.
It's how we make them at Parris Island and Officers Candidate School.
He was a commanding general at Parris Island when my son was going through boot camp. Now, his son was graduating from medical school, and my son was graduating from Parris Island as a private. And I got to see J.D. and Margaret at the commanding general's house. They had a dinner. And boy, I was so excited to see that rascal. And I recognized him right off the bat. And of course, Margaret, because she's stunning. She's so beautiful. And J.D. recognized me, but he had a lot of people he had to cater to. And we he had servants all over the place, and just a general is treated, well, they have the same responsibility, if not more, than the governor of a state.
Now, we have a two-star General Walter Grovan, but he's the Air Force, you know.
But we're talking about Marines.
I know.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, the Major General in the Marine Corps, that's about as high as you can get, isn't it?
Well, there's Lieutenant General and then 4-star General, but in the Marine Corps, there's so few. It's not like the Army or it's not like the Air Force. The Marine Corps has in Vietnam, we got up to 225,000. It got down to about 170,000, and now I don't know where it is.
It's about where we are. But,
But
you were asking me about once a Marine, always a Marine.
Yeah.
It's absolutely the truth. I can tell you.
And in any walk of life, I mean, if he was a Marine, he stood right in there with all of you.
Yeah.
Is that right?
But I also got to say this. I've had the privilege of, in some of my commands, in the joint, I was the commander of the Marine Forces Korea and also the J5 on the staff. That's Plans, Policy, and Strategy.
Yeah.
So I had Army and Air Force and Navy and Coast Guard that worked for me. America has the greatest military in the world, and I got to tell you, it takes all of them for us to have that power.
It does.
Those F-35s that I saw doing the elephant walk in the, taking off out in Nevada, wherever it was, as a show of force. Let me tell you what, I've had Air Force air for me in Vietnam. I've had, I haven't had Army artillery shoot for me, but we had an Army battalion, tank battalion, and they had MLRS rocket launchers supporting them. But that Army unit that fought with us in Desert Storm, they are just magnificent too. So we got a great service. It's.
I mean, I don't. I reckon, or could I call them conflicts or wars? But of course, Vietnam, you were there. How many tours of duty were you there?
No, I was just there. I was on a special landing force off the coast and got to go in and out.
Yeah. See, my brother was on those C-141 transports, the C-130s and 141.
That's what we flew down from Okinawa down to Vietnam.
They would go in and they would open up the hole and everything would just slide out. They never would stop.
So when you're a Marine and the Army-Navy game is going on, who do you cheer for?
There is no question.
Navy, Mike, Navy.
I've got to tell you a story. When I graduated from, Western Kentucky and joined the Marines, went to the Officers Candidate School, then to the basic school. Well, I was recruited to play football for the Quantico Marines, and we went down to Pensacola to play the Navy.
Right.
And the Marines.
And Starbuck was the quarterback.
Listen,
y'all go down there, Troy went down there and played them too.
And the Navy's on one side of the stadium and the Marines are on the other. Into that game, and during the process, something hit me on the helmet, and I'm looking around, and they're trying to throw stuff across the field at each other because it was our Marines against the Navy, and of course that was a great experience.
But you do root for Navy over Army, don't you?
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
See, the Marine Corps, there's the Department of the Navy.
Yeah.
And then the Marine Corps is the male part, and the Navy is the female part. It's the sister service.
We always say we're the men's department of the Navy.
Yeah, we're the men's department.
But listen, I've gone all over the world and a lot of time at sea. That great Navy we got, I mean, we can't get there without it. That's how Marines mostly travel.
Yeah.
But I've worked with SEALs and others. The people that were running the radios who never get out to do some of this stuff, they're just as important as the ones of us that are dumb enough to go out and take it on.
Your resume is just unreal. How far you've come, in the Corps. It's the Corps, and the Corps. Is that right?
If I could, I'd give her 20 more.
And of course,
God bless
34 years in the military, and of course you've been involved. First of all, I want to ask you about the Marine Corps Reconnaissance Company, who is, I'm sure, one of the strongest fighting forces ever, and then you were involved with the British Royal Marine Commando Company, and
they don't send over just anyone. Whenever you send someone over to another country, they pick the best because they want to put the best foot forward. So it's quite an honor to get to go over. They don't want some guy that's going to go out and get drunk and cause problems. They want somebody that's serious about life, you know.
And you work with those Korean Marines. They were pretty bad for us, weren't they?
The Republic of Korea Marines they're a tough bunch of people.
And you were very involved with them for a long time,
Did
too.
they give you some kimchi to eat?
Absolutely. My wife and I still eat kimchi.
I love that. We worked with some of those guys in Vietnam, the Rock Marines, and they were some of the
Blue
finest
Brigade.
fighting men I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
They wouldn't just kill you; they'd eat you. They were tough.
They would.
Tough. Yeah, they were tough guys.
And of course, your active duty has taken you a lot of places in this world. Of course, we just got through with what I would have thought was going to be a crisis, and thank goodness stronger minds intervened evidently to put a stop to it. But they say now that in the future, is it still room for what we call boots on the, what do they call it?
Boots on the ground.
On the ground.
So listen, we went through this 10 years ago.
Yep.
And we found out we have to have boots on the ground. Absolutely, and it always will be. You have to have a presence or the capabilities other than kinetic from the air or from, electronic or whatever. And we've got all those capabilities to do what needs to be done for this nation, but you always need men and women on the ground.
Now, our numbers, and KT mentioned that earlier, and please intervene if I'm way off base here, but there's, you look at Iran, they probably have a lot more boots on the ground as far as numbers than we do. Is that right?
No, not really. I'm not sure of their strength right now. I don't study it all the time, but probably about the same.
But looking at China,
North
like
Korea
that,
and China,
those are huge armies, aren't they?
Yeah.
Even North Korea has a huge army too.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So if you fought those guys, would you do it from the ground then, pretty much, or what?
Well, I've only fought with Marines, but we don't. We have this saying: we won't fight fair. We're going to use air.
Yeah.
We're gonna come from submarines. We're gonna do whatever it takes. But we have the air ground team, and as a ground commander, if our company, we usually have our company commanders go up in the F-18 so they can see and understand what the pilots see.
Yeah.
But our long range artillery are our F-18s and Harrier, or not Harriers now, but the Osprey and other things that we use it all. We just don't fight with the ground. If Marines are going to come in, there's going to be support from artillery and air and electronic and we got the new Space Force that is so vital because we use GPS and other systems, and that's satellite based.
Wow.
So we have to protect those things up there. And by the way, our banking is electronic and it's all digitally,
you got to
connected.
be smart to be able
So,
to do it.
so the thing is we adapt. And our new commandant, he's a recon Marine, but he's very cerebral, and he's there because we've got to adapt to this new world of missiles that can reach out 400 miles and things like that. So,
well, the thing that always upset me as a civilian, not as a Marine, is that you take the greatest fighter in the world and put him in the ring with an underrated amateur, and you tie both hands behind his back, and you tie his legs together, and you just let the amateur beat him as much as he wants to. And the rules of engagement have just tied our hands. And you can't fight. You're over there and you can't fight unless they fight first or unless they fire first. And the rules of engagement under Obama were absolutely horrible. We were there, but the kids couldn't, from what I'm reading over here. But what I'm saying, if you take the gloves off, I mean, one lick and they're out. So I think you put a cattle gate over there and you pass the people through and you check them out, let them go out. Anybody left inside, you just take a big bomb and you blow the whole dang thing up.
It's not, KT, it's not that simple, but
it seems that simple to me.
I know, but, and I could give you episodes of where, you know, places we've gone into, don't point a weapon at a Marine because you are going to. You're going to get return fire, and it's going to be accurate.
Good.
Yeah.
Of course, now you've also worked with the Royal Marine Commando Company.
All right.
How was that? Britain is quite loyal to the United States. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. And we had an exchange program, and I got selected to go over and wound up commanding one of the 7 British Commando companies.
Wow.
And I will tell you that there, we talk about the Korean Marines and U.S. Marines. The British Commandos are absolutely the top drawer type organization too.
But now you've been there. You not just to be the guy directing anything. You've been there with a gun in hand. Is that right?
Absolutely.
You jumped out of a mini of a airplane or a helicopter. Is that right?
Yeah. Oh yes. I have, and
that's what recon is.
Yeah.
They have the bubble for their. They say that scuba school is the toughest school around, and the Halo Stroud jumped out at 41,000 feet and had to have oxygen in the night into the water. And can you imagine falling that far? And
that's your nephew, David Stroud.
He was a recon Marine, and the general was. So they both had the same pet. But that recon stuff is some tough dead gun stuff.
They say even you might have done it 1,000 times, but every time sort of scary. Is that right?
If you get to where you're so comfortable, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Especially on a halo is where you jump high and then you open low, but a halo is when you jump high on forced oxygen.
You know, if I had to use a word that would identify a Marine, just me on the outside looking in, would be pride.
Oh yeah.
Pride. You know, there's so much pride in the Marine Corps. You know,
pride in the Corps. Yeah, you got to. It's indoctrinated into you, and they tear you down, strip you down in boot camp, and then they build you back up the way they want to, and you always got that pride. My philosophy was, I was in charge of a casual company at 1-6, and these were guys that were being drummed out of the Marine Corps, or they were leaving for some reason. And I knew basically down deep inside they were still Marines, and they had pride, and we pretty much took care of a field day one time. All these casual guys did, except the very end, they were trying to throw Colonel Qualls in the New River. Remember that? That was my company that was throwing the colonel in the water.
He deserved it.
No, yeah, he did. No wonder I stayed in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, but
you know,
but that recon stuff, that British Marines and all that stuff, that is some.
Yeah. I hate to get so involved with politics, but you know that's what we're facing right here more than anything. Is you know our future and so forth, and you know our president has been pretty hard nosed. How do you feel about some of the things he's done?
I think that some of it needed to be done. This Iranian situation has been going on for years and years and years, and you know we've lost a lot of lives, all services because of that side of things. But there's I believe in negotiating and working things out. But there's some organizations and countries that what they understand is force.
Yeah.
And if we're going to have it, and we've got it, you don't want to use it. I mean, but if we have to save American lives, to protect this country, I mean, just to protect we have so much of our goods and services come by sea.
Yeah.
You can't believe what comes
Oh, yeah.
across the ocean. So we got to have that Navy out there and Marines out there with the Navy to keep those sea lanes of communication open, so our goods and services can come in. But I just tell you this, that I never, even I was a head of the Homeland Security,
Sure.
counterterrorism in Tennessee, working for a Democratic governor. I had, all through my career and still today, I don't care what the politics is. We're just going to do what's right for
That's right,
the
yeah.
organization.
Talking about the Homeland Security, and of course we're not actually you were not actually in a border state, but I know you've been there. How important is it for us to be able to secure our borders?
It's absolutely, we're not a country unless we have borders. And people come from all over the world. I won't get into too much of it, but there was a time when we knew certain terrorist organizations were using our border and the poorest border we had to bring people in.
Yeah.
You have to have a border, and I look. We some of my ancestry comes from Scotland and England.
Mine does too.
But so legal immigration, it's wonderful.
People can still get in the United States legally if they go through the system.
And I feel
Even
for
through
those.
Mexico. isn't
Yeah,
it?
why not use the system?
I feel for those people because it is. I've been all over the world, and this is the wealthiest nation, and we all have so much. But and I like, we need the workers. We're important workers, but the criminal element of it, and let me tell you, don't think this world is. Everybody loves each other. There's a criminal element, and it's bad. And of course, the drugs are bad, but human slavery, or the white slavery, what the women marketing and all that, it's unbelievable. And we're doing the right thing, trying to get control of our border. It's so important.
Yeah,
That's part of national security. I mean, so I'm strongly believe that we ought to have a system where good people can come and we can vet them and we know who they are.
Yeah.
So, because we're all from that, but they can't. I've heard people say, "Well, my family came. They're immigrants." Well, of course, we all were at some time.
You bet.
But they came through the system.
Yeah.
Do you think we're heading in the right direction?
I do.
Right now.
And as everybody looks at the Texas, Arizona borders, and in the southern, on that borders Mexico, but a lot of people don't realize that one of the worst places is Canada. A lot of these people are coming through Canada.
We have caught some bad boys coming through that way, and remember 2000 when all the predictions. Anyway, they're. Yes, we have to have a strong border everywhere, but the majority comes through that southern border, and it's not just South Americans and Mexicans. It's from all over the world.
What do you think we need to do? Are we focusing on things that need to be focused on mostly? Our defense and our security.
Well, it has to be a well-rounded thing. We can't have, the strengths of America, the legs of it are diplomatic, economic, and our military. And you need all of it together. But look at our economy. But you can't maintain a strong country without those three legs.
Yeah.
But we have to focus. We need to transition people so they can get jobs.
Oh yeah.
Things are changing.
We
need to. Education is so important.
Should we be the head police chief of the world? Should America do that, or should we back off?
Well, we have to be prudent in what we do. There's places where we need to have a presence, and we need to. We after World War II, we became the police force of the world. That's what we call ourselves, Marine 911 force internationally.
Yeah.
And I've literally left this country within hours' notice.
Yeah.
or I took the Marines into Los Angeles riots, and I'm telling you, it was, call my wife, a driver will be there shortly getting my stuff out of the corner in the closet, and of course you can't say where you're going, but I think we have to be careful where we commit lives and Marines, and you can't waste lives without a good cause.
Yeah.
But it has to be critical to the United States, to our security, because I tell you, as a Marine commander, you don't want to commit Marines unless you got to.
Yeah.
And you've got to give them the freedom to fight.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
Protect yourself.
That's the thing that aggravates me.
I think now this is just on a layman. Everybody wants to feel secure, but of course our military, to me, is probably the number one thing item out there because without strength, we have a hard time bargaining with anybody. Is that right?
Well, absolutely, and you need the diplomats and you need the economic power. But I got to add one more thing in here. I'm currently I work with law enforcement, and at home, when you and I left, we had firemen and emergency response people and law enforcement to take care of our families.
Yeah.
That's also, there's a lot of things being said about police and negative stuff, but good Lord, if we don't have a nation of law and have those law enforcement people and those emergency response people and the fire people. By the way, at one time I got to be the fire marshal of the city of Birmingham, England, when all the firemen went on strike.
Oh, man.
And you're talking about having to take Royal Marines and Royal Navy and Air Force and form them into a team to fight fires with at least 1 day's training.
Oh, my goodness.
In the second largest city in England, that was one of the most challenging things I've ever done. And learn from it, and
had to have a good sergeant major, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, and I probably still suffer from. I went into a hospital where it was just filled with smoke and chaos, and the British soldiers and sailors and Marines were trying to evacuate people, and so I have high respect for law enforcement, just as I do Marines. For firemen and for these emergency medical response people. I mean, that's all part of our whole security system.
Yeah, and without that, there's an element underneath, even in Troy, Alabama, that you don't know.
Oh, gosh.
And then there's the average guys, and the only thing between us and them is our police officers, and they do a wonderful job. I mean, I know people get mad about this or mad about that, but the bottom line is that they protect us. And they go out not knowing if they're going to come home at night, and they have to deal with the stress of that. Our police force is great, and we've got a good chief. I love our police officers. They're good men.
Well, we've got to support them. I tell you what, the worst thing in the world is for him to go out and try to do what he's been signed an oath to do.
Yeah.
And not be able to do it, like you said, hands tied.
That's wrong.
Well,
our military got down pretty good bit under the last administration, and I think Trump has spent $1.3 trillion just bringing our military back up to where it should be.
Well, I will tell you, my wife and I visited Parris Island again a couple years ago, and the 100th anniversary, and we went over to talk to the squadron and the F-18s and the air wing that's there.
Wow.
And it was sad to hear they're having to cannibalize other aircraft and go to the boneyards and find parts for their aircraft. Now I think it's a little better. I know it's better. But,
it's got to be.
But you know, in Maslow's hierarchy, security is right down here at the bottom. You got to have it.
Yeah, you got to have
it
for
the economy, for America.
Don't you think, some of the things that Trump's doing, especially with our energy, we were always felt like that we were, we had to get our energy, our oil from other places. Well, he's now getting our energy, and by us not being dependent on somebody else for our energy is big, don't you think?
Yeah. Remember the Iranians had our hostages, and
Yep.
and we weren't. I remember having to line up and get gas, and I mean, big long lines.
I work for Mobile
Energy
Oil,
independence means so much. Everybody ought to really realize that.
But and you know that people said, you know, why do this? Well, from what I gather, we have an unlimited amount of crude oil underground, and that we'll never really be without energy.
That had been capped.
Yeah.
Through different programs, they had capped it off where you couldn't do it because it became a big environmental Al Gore and stuff. So
I can tell you, it's why I say it's a combination of economic, diplomatic. We need our diplomats.
Yeah.
And we need our warriors, Air Force, Navy, Marines.
Well, your buddy North has got a new book out. Did you see him on TV yesterday?
Who, Ollie?
Ollie, yeah.
I know Ollie really, really well.
Oh, Ollie looks like he is aged, man. I'm telling you, he is. But he's got another book out that, I like what he stands for. You know.
Yeah. Well, I do too, and I know he was an instructor at the basic school when I was there. But I know Ollie really well, and he's a man that was serving his country, but he, you know, he got in a little tight position there, but he's a Marine. He fights back. He comes back, and he's.
They sure went after him.
Oh yeah, but
a little bit too smart for him, though. I think.
He's no, you know, we have a lot of well-educated, articulate Marines. I'm talking about from Lance Corporals all the way up.
Yeah.
But we're all cut out of the same pattern as far as training and dedication.
Less than 1% of our young people are even in the military now. Less than 1% serve.
Well, here's the interesting thing. Only, you know, a little over 70% of our young people in the age category that can join the services can't join. So that leaves a small pool that the services have to recruit from, because also, you know, the colleges are recruiting, and
that's
so
right.
so
that's
it's
right.
that's a concern of ours for the future, and it's already impacting us. We're thousands of pilots short across the services. So we all have to. I still do some work on that up on the Hill in Washington, educating and talking to our, you know, our leaders there about. We need to do things to try to change that dynamics. They've got to be able to pass the educational side of it, the intelligence side of it. They've got to be fit enough so that we can train them. Because the 12 weeks of Marine Corps boot camp, you can't just have, you know, a fat body or whatever.
What you're saying, we have a lot of kids that don't qualify to go into the Marine Corps.
They can't come
go
in
to the armed forces.
That's right. And they either have criminal backgrounds.
That's right.
They physically can't, or they can't make it, or can't pass the test, which is pretty simple, or they can't mentally pass the test.
And then drugs come in too.
Well, that's part of the side of, you know, their backgrounds that we can't take up. I've had people in boot camp who somehow got passed, and in the Marine Corps, we hold the recruiter responsible from graduating from.
In your opinion, what should be our top priority? Straighten out and try to continue to be strong at home, or what would you think the main priority should be?
I'm not sure I got.
I mean, our top priority should be our economy, or be our military, or what do you think?
Well,
it all works together.
You heard what I said at the beginning.
Yeah.
The legs of a great national power: economic, diplomatic, and military. The economic is all the how we have the money and
homeland and land security.
Well, but that is the side that falls in with the military. That's why I'm saying I'm a warrior that fought outside the country, and now I serve, you know, law enforcement inside and work in the counterterrorism business. But it's so important that we have it all. I mean, when KT and I deployed out of the country, we needed our
Someone to take care of them.
somebody to take care of our family.
Exactly.
You're right.
Yeah.
Good, ladies and gentlemen, our guest this morning is Major General Jerry D. Humble, and of the United States Marine Corps, retired, and my good friend Robert K.T. Cole, ladies and gentlemen, one of the strong, not one of the, just one of the strong veterans that I know, one of the strong citizens of our community, and of course, you know the difference in a leaner and a lifter, don't you?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, well,
I know we're going to find out.
He's a lifter. And of course, we appreciate him. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
Piggly Wiggly's local butchers are on site at both stores and will help you select the best cuts of meat and trim them to your liking. Our USDA choice beef is the most consistently tender, juicy, and flavorful beef you can buy, all at cost plus 10%.
Ford Truck Month is going on now at Bill Jackson Ford, and folks, we have the deal for you. Take up to $6,000 off MSRP and get 0% APR for 72 months for huge savings on a new 2019 Ford F-150. Select new 2019 Ford Mustang starting at an incredibly low $23,900. Or drive home a select new 2019 Ford Escape starting at just $18,900. Bill Jackson is the name you've trusted for over 30 years. Check us out on Highway 231 in Troy or online at BillJacksonFord.com.
If you've had an accident or just want a new look for your vehicle, come see us at Troy Paint and Body, where we do it right the first time. Our staff has more than 100 years combined experience and can handle repairs and paint work on any make or model. We also offer a lifetime guarantee as long as you own your vehicle. Our 24-hour towing service means we're here when you need us. Troy Paint and Body, where we may meet by accident, but you'll be glad we did. So come see us at Troy Paint and Body, located on South Brundage Street in Troy beside the post office.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
You see who lives in high cotton, don't you?
It's I'm pretty impressed.
Back to our show, Robert K.T. Cole. Of course, you know, he and I have done a lot of work with Troy Cable over the years. In fact, we were the first football crew that, you know, we've televised football games, high school games for the last 35 years. We've got a call coming in. Let's put you on hold, Mike. Good morning, you on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, Mike, it's Will Matthews.
Will, doing well this morning. I've got Major General Jerry D. Humble, United States Marine Corps retired, and Robert K.T. Cole on my show this morning. Now, of course, Will's son is with the Trump campaign, and that's where he got his start. And Will, this man here today has had a tremendous career in the Marine Corps.
Well, I, for one, appreciate what he did and all the other people in uniform do. You know, they've been underappreciated for years and years, but I think they're being appreciated now.
Well, you know, quickly, his son, how many years ago did he join the Trump group?
Well, he was hired by Donald Trump in 2016, and he ran his campaign in Pennsylvania. And once they won the presidency, he was sworn in the same day President Trump was in the Agriculture Department, and he's his liaison to the USDA and has been since then. Yeah.
Of course, recently he's been in an accident where he was crossing the streets of Washington, D.C. and got hit by a local vehicle there. Is that right?
A bus. He
Yeah,
got run over
bus.
by a bus. He's lucky to be alive.
Yeah.
Lord.
Bus.
He comes out of Ozark, Alabama. Of course, you've known where Ozark, Alabama was all those years. Did you ever have to go to Fort Rucker for anything?
I didn't.
You know, of course, that's where your helicopter training site is.
Oh, Rucker.
Yeah, Fort Rucker,
Well,
which is
yeah, that's
30
where,
miles south of
that's,
here.
that's the Army helicopter
Yeah.
training.
Yeah.
That's right.
I've never been there. No.
I'm going today.
That's where he goes to. And do you save money by going down there some? Or you go to the doctor down there too, don't
I
you?
just have my doctors down there, yeah.
Yeah.
The commissary, you darn right you save
Yeah.
money. And there's a new program now that people need to check out on. If you are 1%, I see half the tags in Pike County got disabled veterans on them, so I don't know the extent of the disability, but if you have any disability with the VA now, you can apply to be able to shop at the commissary.
Right.
Yeah.
And you will save at least 40% on your food bills.
That's good. Let's bring Mike back in here. We're going to put you on hold and bring him back in here. Hopefully we can do that. We worked on it. Well, let's do it again one more time, General. And now we got another one we got to do. I'm sort of disoriented right here. One more. There we go. We got both of you back on there now. Will Metz is our attorney, and he's calling in from Ozark, Dothan this morning. And, of course, Mike Amos is coming in from the Gulf of Mexico, Grayton Beach. So he's sitting on the beach drinking a mint tulip. Mint julep. Mint julep.
Yeah, I'm glad you're not drinking mint tulips.
You need to head on down. It's going to be 70 and sunny today, Dad.
I'm heading that way myself.
And then we've got terrible weather coming in here on Saturday, so people don't look real forward. Of course, got a big basketball game tonight with Arkansas Little Rock, and that should be a good one from the Trojan Arena this morning. You know, Troy has really grown.
Oh, I know.
And, you know, because of 1A, you know, we're 1A
Right.
now, and, of course, Western Kentucky is
Right.
1A. But if we weren't 1A, we probably would not be growing like we have, because big time college football makes things happen.
Same thing with my team, Western Kentucky
That's
University.
right.
It's amazing. Yeah.
That's right. They won. Hey, they kicked the field goal late, and
Well, they won it.
we won the money. Whatever. But
Mike, last night, Vandy almost broke Auburn's 13-game winning streak.
what was that final score?
It was 82-79, but Vandy tied it at 79 and had the ball, and they called an offensive foul on them, and then Auburn hit a three and won it. So
Will is a graduate of Vanderbilt, and you know those yuppies, you know, walk around there, you know.
You got to be pretty smart.
Hey, that's in my neck of the woods.
Yeah.
we've got a new coach at Vandy, and I think he's going to turn it around.
Yeah. Well, you know, our former.
Stacked house.
Yeah, it seems like all our coaches are coming out of Kentucky. Our recruiting coordinator that spoke to the Rotary Club a couple of days ago, he's a native of Sawyerville, Kentucky, wherever that is.
Yeah.
Coach Neil Brown was our head football coach until recently, and he's at West Virginia now. He was a Kentucky guy. And our Slammer, the great line coach, at Kentucky, coached here with Brown for about 4 or 5 years, and he's back at Kentucky with that just run-oriented attack.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, what is a hilltopper?
Yeah, what is a hilltopper?
That's a hilltopper. Western Kentucky is on the top of a hill in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Yeah.
And that's the name they took, and pretty
And
famous name.
And another thing, Jim Jackson would normally be here today.
A red blob, isn't it?
Well, our mascot, yeah, absolutely, and he's done well. A couple times he's won up there the mascot of the year and so forth.
And I'll tell you something else they've gotten. West Kentucky's gotten better in baseball too.
Yeah.
Their whole program's gotten better. Mike, you've done a little playing in up in West Kentucky. Is that right?
Playing?
Didn't y'all go up there for a game and have a big
we
time?
went out to some establishments after.
Yeah. Shame on them. Shame on them. They've got establishments.
West Kentucky's been to 22 NCAA basketball tournaments. Their basketball program's legendary.
Yeah, it sure is. Isn't it?
Mike, let me tell you my Kentucky connection.
All right.
I had 2 roommates at Vanderbilt from Kentucky. We had 8 guys living together. There was 2 golfers, 4 basketball players, and 2 football players. And 2 of the basketball players were from Kentucky. One of them was Joe Ford. He was from Mayfield, Kentucky.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all know where that is.
Well, I do.
Yeah.
My actual roommate was Terry Thompson, and he was from Horse Cave.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You remember the F troop?
Joe Ford was part of the F troop.
Yeah, Fosness, Spears, Ford, and Fosness, Spear, Ford, and not Biletnikoff, but Van Bredikoff.
Yeah.
See, you don't think I'd keep up with Tennessee basketball. Skinner was the coach.
Well, yeah. Well, of course, Vanderbilt's right there, and when I was on the governor's cabinet, we lived in Nashville, and a lot of good friends from Vanderbilt. But boy, you're talking about a nice campus, and the VA hospital was there. But of course, my wife and I are from Kentucky, and I was in a cabinet meeting one time, and the adjutant general and I were real good friends. And right before the cabinet meeting started, the governor was getting ready to raise his hand, and the adjutant general said to me, "General, you know, Tennessee's playing Alabama today." And I didn't see it, but the governor raised his hand, and I said out loud, "General, I want to tell you something. I'm for anybody that plays Tennessee." And the 6 molar sucks all around the table. And I was so embarrassed.
Yeah, Coach, we're sort of like that, Coach. And in our opinion, nothing sucks like a big orange. Oh, Rocky Top, you'll always be home, sweet home to me. And then what you do? Get a Rocky Top, Tennessee.
Well,
where do you live now?
I live in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Still live in Bowling Green, and of course, it is a great place. A few miles up the road is Louisville.
Absolutely.
And you cut across to Cincinnati, and
yeah.
And the rest is.
He has a Corvette because he lives in Bowling Green.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I wish. Yeah.
And of course, a friend of mine went to the Hall of Fame's 50th reunion or something like that, and he said it was a huge party not too long ago. Talking about Driscoll Colquitt, he went up, had a Corvette, and he went up there to the big party.
Annually they have the Corvette Rally or whatever it is, and Corvettes from all over come to it. And of course, us local people, I love Corvettes, but it just clogs the city. And just recently, I was privileged to ride as a grand marshal of a parade, and the car was a Corvette, and I was sitting up on the back of it, and they let my wife drive it.
Yeah, oh God.
And I said, be careful, because it's got such horsepower, and I'm bouncing back there.
Well, there's a good friend of mine in town right now that's got 15 Corvettes.
Wow.
And he's got about 10 of them in a building, where you can visit anytime you want to.
Yeah.
It's located right off of South 39th Street, right there on the corner. He used to be a washateer there. Now he's got all his Corvettes in there.
Joe Boutwell.
Joe Boutwell. Yeah, that's right. And
Sonny bragged about Joe's collection.
That's
all
right.
the time.
And he's a great guy.
He is
and of course, he's got a bunch of them at home, too. So he loves those Corvettes.
You know, you remember when the Corvette, the cave in or the sinkhole appeared in the middle of the Corvette?
I remember that, yeah.
Well, I was somewhere in Florida, Orlando, down south, but I was turned on the news that morning. It was Bowling Green, Kentucky, and the Corvette cave in, and I found out my son-in-law is the engineering company that went in to fix that.
Yeah.
But it was so bad they used a drone to fly down in there to see what was how stable it was. But to pull those out, it was just just amazing, you know.
Well, speaking of the drone, it scares me to death because you can, anybody could take a drone and put a bomb on it, and it'd be hard to stop, wouldn't it?
Well, we actually been doing that for a long time.
But what I'm saying, the drones, do y'all use them quite a bit on the battlefield?
We have, and we do, and we can do all kinds of things with them. But the FAA is trying to catch up, and because we got drones everywhere, and you can.
Well, it was a drone that killed the Iranian terrorists.
That's
Soleimani.
That's we've been using that type of stuff for a long time.
Have you known who this guy was for a long time?
I knew who it was.
Yeah, he looks like a movie star. They got him they show him all this stuff about him. I mean, he's a handsome guy. He's a dead guy now, but he looked like Clooney or a movie star, didn't he? I mean, and he's sort of like a hero to him, you know.
Well, not all of them, but yeah, he was a real bad boy, and you know, we don't know what the intelligence showed, but I'm absolutely sure all the service chiefs and the chairman had to recommend that strike.
Yeah.
And it was based on intelligence, and it should have been done before, but I think it was, some of those people we deal with, they only understand the strength side, the military side of we tried the economic side,
the SEALs are probably one of the great fighting forces around, and that's the Marine Corps. The SEALs are part of the Marine Corps, is that right?
No,
or the
Navy.
No.
Navy.
The Navy and the Marine Corps are sort of joining each other.
Well, the SEALs are also the men's department of the Navy. We say,
Yeah.
I've worked with SEALs, and let me tell you, you better believe it. At our special forces, we have unbelievable capabilities from, the special ops side of things to the kinetic special ops. That's what they took him out with. That was a special operation.
The SEALs can do so many things, can't they?
Oh,
one thing, they can tread water longer than most folks, can't they?
Oh, you better believe it. Yeah. When I went through diving school, it was not only you got to tread water, you got to go down, and they'll rip your tanks off and your. And you better not come up, or you're not going to graduate.
General Humble was talking earlier about the ladies and the kids that they leave at home.
Yeah.
And I think I know Vietnam was probably as hard on my wife and my kids as it was on me. The people that you leave at home, they have such a hard job because they got to keep everything going. They got the pressure of all the bills. And I'm sure he could.
Listen, the dependents that we have to leave behind, of course, they're worried, and most of the time, at least from my experience, you can't communicate with them. Well, I could write letters. I did talk to my wife, I think, one time over Mars radio, where you say, I love you over, that kind of thing. But now, because of the communications, we have to, in operations, have to shut down communications so they can't transmit back for various reasons. But those dependents go through, terrible times, hard times, not only financially sometimes, but emotionally, because their loved ones are over there. And it's not just the men. You got mothers that go that leave.
Yeah.
Correct me wrong. People say there's a real radical group of Iranians, but then there's a large very civilized group of well-minded people. I mean, they're not all of them are not that bad. Is that right?
Absolutely. You can see. Well, they've had the riots. I mean, this is a regime that's not trying to take care of the people. This is a regime that's trying to maintain power.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
the media focuses on the 500 of them there instead of the people.
I've got Iranian friends here in the United States. You remember when the revolution took place? Sure. They had to leave the country, but I tell you this: there's good people everywhere.
Yeah. even the Vietnamese, you know,
good Lord,
you know,
yes.
we're finding that you know, a lot of those students come over here. They are real good students and real good people. It seems like.
Oh my gosh.
So what I'm saying, all of those folks weren't bad, you know.
Well, that's exactly right, and but it's when a regime takes over, and the people, we the people, don't get to help control things, and you can't have elections. You know, they can't have an election in Iran and that kind of thing. But at least we're still a great nation. Yeah, and we're going to hopefully keep it that way.
Of course, you know, I don't know. I'm sure you get different questions asked you, but you know, you've got Russia, you got China. Are those the main two militaries that we have to be concerned about?
Actually, we got Russia, we got China, we got North Korea, we got Iran. We got our hands full. And I said we don't need to be the police force of the world, but to protect our economy and you know, to help stabilize things in the world, so we can have a great economy and and not be threatened. We have to have a great military and a great local.
Well, unemployment's at the lowest in 50 levels. The stock market's the highest it's ever been. The economy is outstanding. Interest rates are down. I mean, Donald Trump does
you
talk
know,
a lot, but he's done a great job in the economy.
Countries that have the bomb. And all right, we know that England has the bomb, the United States has the bomb, Russia has the bomb, China has the bomb, France has the bomb, Pakistan has the bomb, India has the bomb.
You're talking about nuclear weapons?
Yeah. I know that might not have been a question that you were expecting, but some people can have the bomb and you don't really worry about them. Stability has a lot to do with it, doesn't it?
Right.
And so you want to make sure that if somebody has a nuclear weapon, there has the stability and the tolerance not to use the bomb.
Somebody can't come in and steal the bomb.
Yeah.
Is what you're worried
But really, the bomb or the nuclear weapons is sort of a political thing. If you've got, you know, sort of, if you've got the bomb, they're not going to be messing with you. Is that right?
That's partially, but you have to have some regime or organization like America's got. You got to have some stability.
Yeah.
You know, we were worried about in North Korea when I was there.
That's exactly right.
One of their generals who might go astray from you know, the ruling elite there, and want to use the bomb or nuclear weapons. Not only, even inside their country, you got to have a strong control of them. Absolutely, and we cannot tolerate a radical regime like the Ayatollahs regime. The Iranian people they don't want to be a part of that regime, and that's why they have riots and they get so many people killed there. But it's radicalism. Yeah. So if you got you can't have radicals having nuclear weapons.
All right, you were in Korea for a long time, and of course, you know, the war between the North and the South, you know, the Korean War, you know, came to a sort of a standstill, and you got a demilitarized zone. Tell us about South Korea. Are we strong militarily there?
Well, yes. My wife and I had the privilege of living there a couple of years, and South Korea is a booming economy. Mm-hmm. It's a free elections.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's amazing, and the South Koreans love Americans, especially American military, because we came in and helped fight, save that country.
And they helped us in Vietnam.
Oh yes, the Blue Dragon Brigade, and he'll tell you they were tough fighters and everything else, but they got a great economy. And you go up to the DMZ and you look across into North Korea, and you can actually go down in where the building where the line comes across, and the North Koreans are looking in the window at you, and but you see what looks like some nice buildings. Yeah. The nice buildings are about as wide as this room. It's a facade. but they still have a huge army.
Yeah.
And they still provocate. I mean, they have submarines and a few things, old ones, but that's another dangerous country.
Oh yeah.
Because
the lack of stability again.
Because of stability.
They can't feed their people, can they?
Well, the people who get fed are the military, and I happen to know at one time when I was there, the only people that were getting a meal a day were the military. And I saw when they triaged their, they could only feed so many people, they decided to not feed as many coal miners. And of course, then you saw parts of North Korea go dark because they didn't have the energy. It was stability.
But then it sort of scares you. The only thing they do have is a possibility of having a nuclear weapon, which, how do you stop a nuclear weapon or any kind of weapon from the north to the south because it's such a short?
Well, here's how short it is. My wife and I had to have a bodyguard and all that because as being a senior officer, they could like to take one of us out. But my wife and I had to keep our gas mask in our cars, in our home, because it's so short that they could shoot artillery with chemicals in it into the downtown Seoul.
And it's hardly any way to stop it, is it?
It's a short distance.
So that's another thing. Not only nuclear weapons, but chemical warfare. Their lack of stability scares you.
Yes, certain countries that it's run by a regime, a ruling elite. The peasants, as we'd say, or it's what they. I mean, people are starving, and I know that we've seen aircraft fly from Sweden to bring chocolates and things into the ruling elite, because the ruling elite stay that way because that's how they get their money and they're fed. But
are they? Is North Korea and China? Do they have a good? Are they friends? And what's the situation?
China does not want their borders to be overrun by North Koreans going north. Peasants.
Yeah.
And they also, between China and South Korea, which is a democracy and allies of the United States, that keeps a buffer between Russia and us.
Yeah.
So they'll support. They feed a lot. They provide a lot of support to North Korea.
Yeah, sure.
Well, you look at our system, and the Democrats and the Republicans are wasting a lot of time, and they are both becoming very radicalized. If you ask me, I don't understand what's going on in Washington, but we need somebody that's going to bring some stability.
You say the word stability, and I say the word civility, because it's just getting so bad.
They're spending time trying to crucify the other person instead of working together.
And I'm from an apolitical approach, but I'll tell you this, it's getting pretty sad. And I think most of us regular Americans are getting tired of it.
It's sad.
Democrat side or the Republican side. Just
you're right.
Stop this.
Oh, man, it's crazy. And, the Democrats really don't have a candidate strong enough to compete, and they know it. And, I don't know. It's just, I hate this political thing that you got them over here. You're either a Democrat or you're a Republican. And, and you talk about having them in your family, some people, you've got some liberal-minded people and some conservatives,
Well, you got to vote for the man or the woman instead of the party, in my opinion. That's the way you got to do it. But anyhow.
I just want to go back to something I was saying earlier. I just want everybody to know that on a daily basis, for security in this country, you have a lot of federal agencies, and I'm on the Joint Terrorism Task Force, and men and women who are all over this country working night and day. All the intelligence can't go out to the public, but I'm telling you, thank God for what they do, and Customs Border Patrol, all of them. It's working as a pretty good synchronized team now.
Yeah.
And we all ought to, if you ever, see or talk to them, or invite the FBI to come and talk to your Rotary or something. Because it's amazing, and they're great people. But I'm not talking about just the FBI. I'm talking about all our federal agencies and our state and local. That's who's keeping us safe. And you wouldn't believe what gets stopped.
You know, of course, you know, we make a pretty potent missile right here in Troy, Alabama. You realize that, don't you?
You mean the Trojans or what?
No, we're talking about we build missiles 8 miles up the road here.
Lockheed Martin.
Yeah.
And we got Sikorsky as well.
I know they build the Hellfire missile, and also the Patriot missile is built here.
Well, I can tell you, I've had the Hellfire in a fight I was in at one time. I mean, I've seen the BTR-60s and the tanks hit by our Cobras shooting the Hellfire missile. All I can say is thank you, Troy.
Exactly.
Boy,
But overall,
we were in the Marine Corps with a guy named John Kelly.
Yeah.
That was a lance corporal and a sergeant in our company, and he ended up being a 4-star general in the Marine Corps, director of Homeland Security, and then Trump's chief of staff until they got crosshaired.
John Kelly, when we took the Marines into Los Angeles riots to quieten things down.
Yeah, I remember that well. Yeah.
John Kelly commanded one of the commands.
I'll be darned.
And by the way, when we got in there, that when we took over, there was less crime probably in South Central Los Angeles than there were probably on the naval base.
Do you feel like that we've still got a strong base of countries that do support our policies here in the United States?
Yeah. And absolutely.
And we're talking about Germany, France, England, Japan. Is it considered a strong ally?
Oh, absolutely.
Very much so.
Now, you think they'll ever have a military, go back and have an actual military force in Japan?
Well, I got to tell you, I've lived there and I've trained with them. They have a military force right now.
I didn't know that they did.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Since World War II.
It's supposed, it's for defense of Japan.
Yeah.
But they've got assets and capabilities. And I actually, they gave us, in Desert Storm, they gave us they gave us some Land Rover type vehicles, what they were called, the
Toyotas?
Yeah. So, and we got them in like 4 days before we went into the attack. And I watched the Marines out there were spray painting them all tan, including the side windows.
Exactly.
But yeah, we have strong allies.
We got
Coach, we appreciate our good friends at Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram Trucks. If you're looking to buy one of those vehicles, they've got one of the great dealerships in the country right here in Troy, Alabama. And of course, Jason Gregory and all the great folks there at Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram Trucks. I got a brand new Hemi sitting in my yard right now, outside this door now, that I really, really like.
That's wonderful.
And I've enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot on the news. They keep on saying that, as far as Iran goes, that, this should be a war that should be decided by Israel and Saudi Arabia, that they should be involved in all this, and we should stay out of it. I mean, why is Israel and Saudi Arabia the two countries they bring up when it comes to Iran?
They don't want Israel getting on them. I'll tell you that.
But go ahead.
Because they're impacted by Iran
instability
and because the direct threat to Israel is Iran.
Yeah. But there's not any. It's too far. It's hard for Israel to go up against them because it's such a long distance. You'd have to have places planes to land and things like that. Is that right?
I'm sure it is, but the Iranian nuclear sites have been long-time targets of our allies, and we know where they are. But Saudi Arabia is it's a kingdom. Yeah, but their people still have a lot of freedoms and that kind of stuff, and been a great ally.
Yeah.
I mean, my gosh,
They spent a lot of money on military items from the United States.
Oh yeah, but also the big bases. I mean, when I went to my time in the Gulf and fought over there, I flew into Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
and then move north. But great allies. But yeah, we had a coalition in that, against Iraq when I fought Saddam Hussein. But Saudi Arabia is a great ally, but every ally is different. So
Turkey's important too, isn't it?
Turkey is important.
Osama bin Laden was a Saudi, by the way. He was a wealthy Saudi, so he.
Exactly right.
Our allies.
And of course, you have the incident just happened down the road from where I am in Pensacola, where you're training, I guess, Saudi military at the naval base, and then of course, the shooting happens. I mean, I guess there's just no way you can control stuff like that.
Well, the Wahhabism is out of Saudi Arabia, and that's part of the radical stuff. But that was very sad because we've got great allies there. We've been training Saudi pilots for a long time, and that was terrible.
Absolutely. A lot of them go to our Air University in Montgomery, Alabama.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We probably better hit the road to that breakfast thing too.
Oh yeah, well we're gonna do that. Well, are we going to y'all already going to breakfast?
Yeah, at 8:30.
At Julia's? Okay, yeah, that sounds great. No question about it. We're going to take a short break. We appreciate you being on our show, my friend.
Nice to meet you, Mike.
Hey, listen, I hope we asked you the right questions.
Thank you for your service.
Well,
thank
we
you.
Sure do.
Good man.
We sure do, and we
Don't
appreciate
make them any better.
the Americans like you that are still involved with the things that are important to us, and one of them is our security. And I would think, you can have the strongest economy in the world, but if you're not secure, you haven't gained the thing. You're still in trouble. Don't you agree?
Absolutely, it's the basis.
That's the basis.
And we got to let only good people into our country. We don't need, but we got enough ruffians in our country as it is. And did it bother you though to see all of these radicals in Iran, and they're just thousands and thousands of them, but it's really a small percentage of their population. Is that right?
It's how it is. It's North Korea. You can go around the world like that. Yeah, it makes me mad, but that's the way things are. But I tell you, it's what's going on now with that economic pressure, and now that radical group knows if you're going to kick an American, America's going to kick you back.
Yeah. I like that, and of course, he's proven to be not a guy who just talks. He does
he does that through his outstanding, great services.
Yeah.
Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marine, and Coast Guard.
All right. The last question I'll ask is, what kind of shape is our military in overall?
I think it's gotten much better because you got to have the funding to have the assets to fight with. Our men and women are the best there can be.
Yeah.
They still are. I mean, we hear these old Marines saying, well, the Corps were this and that. Let me tell you, these young Marines are just as good or better than we were.
Yeah.
And they got some damn good weaponry and systems.
Oh, boy, that means a lot, no question about it.
Yeah.
Hopefully that these countries will have respect for each other and leave each other alone, and that's the way I hope that it works out.
But Mike, hope's not a plan.
That's right.
We gotta make it happen.
That's right. But right now you feel like we're in pretty good shape.
Oh yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike.
KT, my good friend, good to see you. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back with more of Today in LA right after this.
The lot is full of new 2019 model vehicles, and they are priced to sell at Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC. New 2019 Chevrolet Silverados, new 2019 Buick Encours, and new 2019 GMC Yukons, and more. The 2020 models are rolling in. Check out our inventory. You can be sure to find the right vehicle for you at the right price for you. Shop us on 231 North Troy or online 24/7 at BillJacksonAuto.com. Bill Jackson, the name you've trusted for over 30 years.
If you've had an accident or just want a new look for your vehicle, come see us at Troy Paint and Body, where we do it right the first time. Our staff has more than 100 years combined experience and can handle repairs and paint work on any make or model. We also offer a lifetime guarantee as long as you own your vehicle. Our 24-hour towing service means we're here when you need us. Troy Paint and Body, where we may meet by accident, but you'll be glad we did. So come see us at Troy Paint and Body, located on South Brundage Street in Troy beside the post office.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, and we hope that you've enjoyed our visit this morning with Major General Gary Humble. And, of course, we appreciate K.T. Cole, former Marine Corps officer and a very good friend of ours, and, of course, very supportive of so many things in our community. Mike, I was looking at the basketball schools. Charles Henderson in 5A girls ranked they're undefeated 13-0 and ranked number 1 in the state.
Yeah, I mean, you got Coach Jones's daughter that's a phenomenal player, and she's signed with Belmont. I wish she would have signed with Troy, like I think her name's Moore.
Yeah.
Who's the center for Troy? That's Charles Henderson. That's really good, but they still got a lot of talent. It sounds like. Of course, Davenport's playing up at Rutgers. I'll have to look at her stats, and maybe I'll give you some information on that next week. Just going to mention Troy's hired a new strength and conditioning coach. Rusty Witt is the new strength and conditioning coach. He was at Army last year as an assistant strength and conditioning coach, but he was the head strength and conditioning coach at Texas Tech for 3 years before that. So that's a Big 12 program. So I think that's going to be a good hire for Troy.
Yeah. I was looking at Troy's, basketball. Of course, they got a big game tonight with Arkansas Little Rock. That's a 6 o'clock start tonight, so it must be going to be on TV, you think?
I don't know. I have to look and see. The women won last night. Beat Monroe on the road. And Coach Rigby, I mean, golly, people just don't talk about her enough. They're 12-2 to start the season.
She's an excellent coach, and she's gone through a lot of things in her personal life with her son having to have several operations, and she is a brilliant person. There's no question about it.
She is somebody that an SEC program or an ACC program seems like would jump all over. She's been to, 2 or 3 NCAA tournaments and
no question about
20 games every year. I mean, it's phenomenal what
she's
she's
an
done.
Excellent coach, and the girls love to play for her. Also coming up this weekend, ladies and gentlemen, on Monday night is the championship game, and sort of sneaking up on us a little bit, Mike, but also we got some huge pro games this weekend that everybody needs to pay attention to. What do you think?
Yeah, I mentioned it during the break, too. Troy's longtime kicker, Tyler Sumter, surprisingly has left the program and entered the transfer portal as well. So Sumter, who was a team leader, always on, a part of interviews during the week, and I loved the program. Surprisingly, he was leaving Troy. That was a starting kicker and punter, so that's a big loss for Troy's program. Makes me wonder if he's trying to go to an SEC school.
Yeah, I'm wondering that. I don't see how he could better himself unless he goes to what we call a Power 5 school.
Yeah, I mean, Auburn's punter did enter the NFL draft yesterday. He was an Australian punter, so Auburn's punting job is open.
So something could be going to Auburn.
I don't know if that means he's going to Auburn or what's going to happen there.
Yeah. Okay, and as we mentioned earlier yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, on this show, where they're in this portal that they're talking about, they have 3,000 players in the portal, and they only 300 opportunities for those 3,000. So.
Yeah, Sumter's a graduate, so he is a graduate transfer. He can play immediately right away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't blame him, I guess, that, maybe he wants to kick it at a bigger school. But
Okay, on Saturday, Mike, we got Minnesota at San Francisco. Minnesota really surprised me when they beat New Orleans. Didn't that surprise you?
Yeah, I mean, get the guy pushed off in the end zone, pretty horrible non-call there. It should have been offensive pass interference, and if they had to kick a field goal there, you know, New Orleans gets the ball and they have a chance to win the game, or kick a field goal and tie the game in overtime. That's the way it works in the NFL. But San Francisco's a 7-point favorite. That game will be at 3:35, and then the 7:15 game will be two former Alabama Heisman Trophy winning running backs going against each other. Derrick Henry's been phenomenal for the Tennessee Titans. The Baltimore Ravens, of course, have Mark Ingram as their running back, so that'll be fun to watch for Alabama fans. But the Ravens are a huge favorite, 9.5 points.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, when you got a running back that can control the football, I'll just say this. I think this will be a low-scoring game because both of them are going to try to run the clock.
Of course, I want to mention, we've been critical of Alabama losing a 20-point lead to Florida over the weekend, but they beat Mississippi State at home by 21 points last night. So Nate Oates is doing a really good job at Alabama coach. Of course, Auburn wins again. They survived Vandy last night. They win by 3. They were 17-point favorites, won by 3 at home. They're now 13-0. So
back in
they need to keep up watching Auburn as well.
Yeah. Back to the pros, I want to mention that Houston's playing at Kansas City on Sunday, and Seattle is playing at Green Bay. So we've got 4 big games in pro football this weekend.
Yeah, and then Monday night you got the championship game. You got LSU, a 5.5-point favorite right now. Over/under is 69.5.
That's a bunch.
For LSU Clemson. So interesting to see if that line goes up a little bit more to a touchdown, or if it kind of stays where it's at. But I still think LSU will find a way. They're just so unbelievable on offense, and the defense is.
Mike, on our show yesterday, I was adamant on our show yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, about Clemson winning the national championship and extending their win streak, and it wouldn't surprise me if they win this game Monday night, that their win streak could go to as high as 40. There's no way in the world should we ever have Clemson being a football dynasty. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you never thought that was going to happen, but you got to just look at the 2 quarterbacks.
I mean, playing a terribly.
Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence are 2 of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time.
That's right. But another thing, too, is their schedule. I mean, they've done it with a very weak schedule. And
well, I mean, you would not.
Do you think anybody in the SEC could win 40 straight? I don't think that could ever happen.
Alabama won, I think, 20 in a row or something under Saban. But I mean, it's one of those situations where,
But
I don't think that this will ever be done again. Alabama had 31 straight.
I would love to know.
Barker and Alabama tied Tennessee in one of those, and then LSU.
Is there any way to come up with a schedule that they have next year? I bet there's not a team on that schedule that could beat them.
I'll have to look and see.
But I mean, and I like the thing is, I like Clemson, and I like
you got to pull for Dabo Swinney.
And I like Dabo and all that, but at the same time, we're looking at the possibility of Clemson becoming an all-time dynasty, winning over 40 straight games.
What about at Notre Dame next year? Will they get beat at
All
Notre
right,
Dame
well,
next
hey,
year?
they might do it. When is that game?
That'll be November the 7th.
All right, in November, they might. That means they would have probably won 8 or 9 straight games. But yeah, Notre Dame will beat them. Notre Dame will beat them next year.
And then you got, you think they'll Akron?
Akron, I don't believe can beat them. All right, this is what I'm talking about.
This is their non-conference. Akron Zips, and then you got the Notre Dame fighting the Irish at Notre Dame, and then you got Citadel, and then you got South Carolina.
Yep, that's right.
That's their non-conference. Not very good.
And then who's in their conference?
So Notre Dame might be one of the few times in our lifetimes everybody's going to maybe
root for Notre Dame.
Notre Dame next year.
But you know, in that people say, "What are you doing talking about that?" Well, let me just say this: we don't need anybody winning 40 straight games. That takes away the credibility of all the programs. If somebody like Clemson can win 40 straight games,
yeah,
that's where I look at it.
There's no doubt because their ACC schedule is awful. They're playing Boston College, Louisville, but that's in Clemson. NC State, that's in Clemson. Syracuse is in Clemson. Virginia's in Clemson. Florida State on the road, Wake Forest on the road, and Georgia Tech on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll definitely go undefeated.
They will, no question about it. Thank you so much, Mike. And look, we're gonna probably do our show from the beach tomorrow. How about that?
Sounds good. Talk to you
later. Take care, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed our show. Appreciate again Major General Jerry D. Humble, United States Marine Corps retired, being on our show. Thank you, KT Cole. We're going to Julia's for breakfast this morning. Join us.